there. It looks, oh, here we go. Hey, everyone. Good morning. It's Patricia Love, your life's cheerleader, and welcome. I see we got a few people popping on here. This is awesome. Hey, hello, Christine. How are you?
Good morning, Patricia. I'm doing well. It's fun to be here with you, working with Life's Cheerleader. We have a session this morning for us here on the Pacific Coast. We are doing a live coaching session for the members of Life's Cheerleader to help troubleshoot your life. So this is just kind of a simple thing we do once a month where we offer ourselves to help answer questions, talk about the class that we're doing this month, and just kind of have some fun and laughs.
Absolutely. And I love these question and answer sessions, by the way, that we do once a month. So I think it's great. So again, for everybody that sees me, I see that Christine's quite clear. I'm not as clear as everybody. My camera is just not quite functioning like it should be. So again, I can see myself a little fuzzy, so I apologize for that a little bit. So I'll try not to move too quickly. So anyway, so we got some people coming on. So why don't we just start getting started here? It's 10:02.
Okay.
And first off, does anybody have any questions? We're talking about this month in Life's Cheerleader, emotional hygiene, which I think is a fascinating subject because, again, I've always been really fascinated with how the brain and the mind works. So it, to me, is ever changing, and it's amazing what the brain can do if we actually work on it and we actually create good habits, good positive habits, and trying to get out of those negative habits. So what do you think about emotional hygiene there, Christine?
Oh, I think it's a great topic. It appeals to my counseling side of me, right?
Right.
And so, excuse me, with taking care of our brains, taking care of our emotions, it's something we would much rather just ignore most of the time. And I think that kind of is what links us in our culture to a lot of addictions. I think that when we are not dealing with our emotions, we have a tendency to try to numb ourselves or suppress what we're feeling by bringing in magical substances.
You know, that's interesting you say that, because it's funny how what we talked about in the class a little bit, that we take care of our bodies, and in most cases we shower, we shave, we may work out, we do things, and then we get a cut or something like that, we stick a band-aid on it, or if we have a hurt foot, we put our foot up to rest because it's something we should do for the body. But when it comes to mental and emotional hygiene, you're right, we just let it go. Instead of fixing it, we try to numb it rather than resting it or helping it or assisting it in some way, like we assist our bodies. We assist our bodies every day, but yet we don't assist our mental or emotional hygiene at all. And it's a practice. I think they just take it for granted that it's okay, and yet and I guess in most cases they just don't know what to do, and they just figure that's because we're trained automatically to stick a band-aid on a cut. You cut yourself when you're growing up with your knee, you skin your knee, and your mom comes or your dad comes and says, hey, let's put a little band-aid on that to fix that. But when a little kid comes to talk to somebody about, like, oh, Joey down the street was mean to me, they just say, oh, don't worry about it, it'll be okay. They don't really talk about things like that. And I think we get into the habit of just ignoring our emotional hygiene.
Well, that is definitely our culture. Our culture says shake it off, especially to little boys. Be a man, don't cry, don't feel your sadness. And we become numb. We become unable to be aware of how we're feeling. Like, that's a big key, is awareness. I think we're just so programmed now that we don't even know what it is we're actually feeling. And so we just feel, bad, or we just push through. That's another big one. Just push on through. And so we don't take that time to really acknowledge our pain, our grief. Those things are difficult to deal with. And so we just kind of want to shove them all down and have a drink or have a piece of cheesecake, and everything will be better.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement with you. And in fact, I was this way. And when I was going through lots of different things, I would just, what I call it, compartmentalize and just put it aside. Oh, it'll go away. Oh, I don't want to worry about it. I just push through this. And it really wasn't until I mentally said to myself, Patricia, you need to acknowledge, you need to be aware of what you're feeling. It was very, very difficult. And I think that's what people don't like, is that it is difficult to, to actually admit you have pain, or admit that you're feeling crappy, or admit that you have emotions, or that how you feel about something, or that you were hurt. And until I just started to do that, and trust me, it took a while to get used to doing that. But now that I'm doing it and saying, actually, when I'm feeling bad, or I'm grieving, or somebody hurt me, when I'm acknowledging now, it's getting easier and easier. It's still a journey, but I'm so much better at it than I used to be, and it's really changed my life. I don't know. How about you, Christine? Are you acknowledging more?
I think I am. I'm trying to. That's definitely a goal. I think one of the things for me, because I have a pretty deeply ingrained people pleasing mindset at times, that there are times where I'm afraid to share what I'm feeling because I might make somebody else mad. Or, like, it's not okay. Women, I think, in general, we're trained it's not okay to be angry. Like, we just kind of have to suck it up and accept it, and that our needs always come second. And so when we feel put upon, or when we feel ignored, like, it gets hard to say, hey, this is what I'm feeling, because somebody else might get mad, or they might reject me for my feelings. And that is a really unhealthy place to be. And so we want to, because we're just as valuable as anybody else's feelings, and anger and disappointment, those are real emotions that we can have and we should be able to express.
I completely agree, because I also come from a place of a people pleaser. Hate rejection, hate, conflict, because of things in my past and such. So it is really hard to say no to people and feel like you're going to be okay. What I found that helped me in this whole situation of people pleasing, and again, it's like you, it's a complete journey. It's a complete, everyday trial period, and I'm practicing every single day, all the time, is I started to take little teeny baby steps in that. Being in real estate in my past, I had to learn to say no a few times, and I had, or I had to learn to, like, when people would call me, I would say, oh, okay, I'll go. And then I would change my whole life because I didn't want to upset them, or, I would say no. But so I started taking little teeny steps of saying no, like, oh, I'm sorry, I have an appointment. Can I just see you later at this time? And they'd go, oh, okay. I'm like, oh, that actually worked. So, I mean, I think we just, again, I had to acknowledge the fact that I am a people pleaser. I had to really become aware of that, because even though I knew I was, I really didn't say it to myself deeply, where it was like, yes, I'm a people pleaser, and I've got to fix this. I've got to work on this particular area, because this is a really tough area, and it's just going to hurt me as I get older, and and I keep saying yes, yes, yes. And I'm finding now that just the little baby steps of saying no to people is actually giving me more confidence. And So that's kind of how I'm kind of working through that, because again, I'm a people pleaser too. Is there anybody, in fact, is there anybody else online here that's a people pleaser? Say yes or no. It's okay.
In the chat, right?
Yeah, put it in the chat if you're a people pleaser or you're just scared of conflict or the such, because I think I would have to say, I don't know, you probably the expert on this, Christine, but I would probably say 75% women are people pleasers. I think it's ingrained in us.
Well, yeah, we are trained to overlook our own feelings, and we're trained to like we serve everybody else, which is a good thing in some ways too. We are nurturing and providers and caretakers, but the problem comes in when we stop taking care of ourselves, because that's when we hit burnout. And that's when we get overwhelmed. I love what you said about taking baby steps. And when you try saying no to someone and then it works, and they don't reject you completely. They say, oh, maybe they're a little bummed, but life goes on. And I remember I have an experience like that too, where I said, you know what? I just really can't do that for you right now. Someone had asked me actually to write a letter of recommendation for them.
Uh-huh.
It was really awkward. Like, I thought, I don't really have much to say.
And you really just didn't want to write that letter, but yeah, you're scared that like they're going to get mad at you, and like.
Yeah. And that's like a really awkward situation, because normally in the past I would just I'd make something up. I'd be like, oh, okay. And I would just talk in the letter. I'd be really general and say, oh, well, she was a punctual employee. And it,
She got to work on time.
Exactly. So I said, that, and I was super busy. It was crazy busy in my life right then. And so I probably could have come up with something, but I thought, what, she's going to be better served by asking somebody else. And so I said, no, I can't really, but I wish you the best of luck. And and I meant that sincerely. And she got really bent out of shape, and which is part of why I didn't want to write a letter for her.
So it actually made you feel good in the end.
Yeah, it did. And it said, see this, I trust my gut, and life went on. She did her thing. Even if we part ways and we never speak again, like, I'm okay. That was not the end of the world. And I actually felt really good about setting that boundary for my own health and well-being. Because if I had written that letter, I would have felt badly. Like, I would have felt phony. I wouldn't have felt like the real me. And I would have felt accountable for my opinions and what I was sharing out with the people she wanted to connect with.
Exactly. So it's so true though. We just, what I actually do sometimes now is when these situations come up, because I'm more aware of saying no or acknowledging the such, I actually start thinking about, okay, so what would be the outcome of this? Okay, she'll hate me. Okay. No one's died,
Yeah.
Okay, or they'll just they'll be fine with it. Or so I kind of like think about it a little bit, and I know that people say you shouldn't get in your head, but sometimes it's not bad to kind of like think about things, like, because I think what we say is like, oh, if I say no, I'll get totally rejected, when actually if we could just kind of think about, oh, what potentially the different outcomes could be, we realize that none of those outcomes are all that bad.
There, you know what, Patricia, you're describing a therapeutic technique.
Oh, good.
It's really neat. They call it awfulizing. And what the therapist will walk you through is, okay, so let's say we do this. What's the worst thing that could happen? And if we think about it and we think about those potential worst things, well, what would we do if that worst thing happened?
Mm-hmm.
And it helps you process any eventuality. And really the worst thing is probably not what's going to happen. But if you feel prepared for that, then you are able to take those steps and to say, okay, well, yeah, I have skills. I can cope with those kind of things. One of the gals in our chat here at the session today, she said she started saying no to people, but when she did, people went away. And that's a really interesting, that's kind of what we're talking about. Like, we have to be prepared for people to go away. And I kind of sometimes chalk that up as a good thing. I don't know.
I was just going to say, Christine, I think that's a good thing, because honestly, I don't want people in my life they just want me to do something for them. And it is hard, because you feel like, well, I don't have any friends, but maybe we just have the wrong friends at that point. And so I've lost friends on this type of things that happened to me too, that I said no, but I feel actually good about it, because then I realized again, I processed it again, like you talked about, by saying, you know what, that person really wasn't as good as a friend as I thought they were. Or why couldn't we just talk about it then? If you're really good friends or friends in your life, they're going to work with you and say, oh, okay, I understand, no worries. Instead of just walking away. If they walk away, to me, they were only in my life for one reason, and that was either to take advantage, or, and I don't like to think that about people, but take advantage, or just they're all about themselves.
Yeah.
And so
I think a lot of people, they get caught in their own lens. And so it's not that they are evil or just or sociopaths, although some of them truly are. And I think that when we are not aware of our own feelings, our own needs, we actually attract those kind of people. I know that at times where I have felt that being needed gives me self-worth, then I attract people who are needy and people who are going to just take from me. And it's not that they're malicious in it. It's that they are in a place where they can't give anything. They're just kind of vacuum cleaners that are sucking the life out of other people because they're struggling so much with their own lives. And by setting boundaries with people, they will find another place where they can attach their vacuum.
Exactly. And I think that's just being aware that most people in general aren't necessarily attacking you or going after you. And yet we take it on, but really we just have to remember that this is usually about them. It's just like somebody that says something mean to you. It's usually they had a bad day, or there's something going on in their life in most cases. Because I know I've been guilty of that myself, and where I've caught myself because I've been more aware of it, that actually I maybe was in a bad mood, and I actually said something, not mean, but a little bit short, a little bit something that wasn't necessary. And I caught myself a couple times, and I'm like, she didn't do or he didn't do anything. Yet I just projected myself on that person for no reason. And I think the key word here is awareness of yourself and awareness of other people's issues, that it's not your issue. And then processing, the second word is being aware and then processing it so that you do know the potential outcomes in most cases, because then you can deal with stuff.
I think that's really key. It's aware, and it goes exactly back to our awareness of how we're feeling. So in all of these situations, being aware of what emotions I'm having, being aware of when I'm projecting onto somebody else, being aware of when I'm not being authentic, when I'm trying to please other people or get people to like me. So it's key, and it's tricky. It's
very tricky. And the other thing is that it's even on our own selves, it's hard to admit that we have some flaws. and I think that as I go, just go away. Hello?
Hi.
Oh, there I am. Okay.
Yeah.
Am I still on? Okay.
You are.
All right. I looked like I went away for a minute there.
You did.
Oh. Well, all right then.
Or I did, right? That's
yeah. Woo! So anyway, it is hard to admit that we have these flaws sometimes, and that is actually practice too, to be okay with our flaws. And I'm constantly now really trying to work on, okay, you do have emotions, are a people pleaser, you do this and do that, but it's okay, Patricia, just acknowledge them and then be aware of them, and then let's process through this. And because I think a lot of people just, again, they don't want to know what's wrong with them. They think, oh, no, I'm fine, I'm perfect, everything is good. But gosh, once I actually took some baby steps and sat alone with myself and became more aware that, you know what, I do have flaws, and it's okay. Everybody else has flaws too. And we all have different flaws and strengths and weaknesses. What are my weaknesses? And let me work on them baby step every single day. And that's really helped me. And I make a list sometimes of my little flaws or my, things that maybe I don't like about myself. And it really does help for me to improve them on a daily basis because I'm more aware of them.
Yes.
So I don't know, do you have any ideas or thoughts of once you become aware of things, of maybe any techniques or things that you do to be aware, or because sometimes it can bring you down when you find out you have all these little flaws, right? And it's like, oh my gosh, but there are ways to, once you make yourself aware of these things, to help kind of change your emotional hygiene or emotional mindset daily, which I think is difficult for people to do. And I know that we've talked about, I've even talked about, I think in our chat area, about collecting smiles, about doing some things that kind of change your mindset and make you happy. Because
that's our champion challenge this month. Yes.
Yeah, in the challenge, in the chat area. So I think that by doing that, it really does help you be aware of other people too. Or, like I said, I actually go out and collect smiles. I'll say, okay, I want to collect 5 today. And I actually go in the elevator and say something nice and I get a smile. That's one. Or I go outside and there's somebody walking down the street that is frowning. I'll say something nice. Oh, that's a pretty dog, or that's a handsome dog, and just smile. Oh, that's best Buster. Anything to get the smiles out of it, which makes me feel good. It makes me start being more aware of how my feelings are. So do you have any thoughts on that or ideas?
I think that it's, you mentioned like once we have this awareness, an awareness of our flaws, then it can be a little bit of a bummer. Yeah. And so I was thinking on that, and it's really about compassion. And it's about having compassion for ourselves and saying that, and giving permission, like, hey, it's okay. It's okay that I feel this way. And I have really just tried to practice sitting in it, which sounds weird, but
no, I don't think that sounds weird at all. I completely agree with you on that. And I know I just jumped in, but I just really agree with you. Sitting in it, acknowledging it and sitting in it, because it's making it aware of it. It's really thinking about it. I like that, sitting in it, because that's what I do sometimes. I'm actually sitting on my couch and I'm thinking about things, and I'm sitting in it and saying, okay, let's think about this. Let's, what could I do to change? What can I be aware of? What am I learning from this? What is the process I should take in this? Do I feel sad? Do I want to be happy, or do I need to take care of something? Is something that's bothering me that I need to actually maybe confront, type of thing? And if I'm going to confront, is there a better way of confronting? If there's different ways. So again, making myself aware and processing. So I think that, but I think you're right. We really need to understand that it's okay to have mistakes, or to think, be grieving, or think about things that hurt us, and realize, be compassionate with ourselves, that everybody else is having these same issues. That is, so we're just becoming more aware of them. So we're a step ahead.
Yeah, that's true. That's a great way to frame it too. Really, we are ahead of the game. Anytime I choose to just acknowledge that I'm feeling sad instead of reaching for the Doritos,
Yeah.
like that's one of those baby steps you are talking about. And so when we do that processing, when we include compassion and permission to be human, um, we we can be lighter. You know, it doesn't have to be so heavy and overwhelming and something that I want to numb and hide from.
I completely agree with that. I just, baby steps is the key, I think, here, because if you try to fix it immediately and fix something, you're going to get too overwhelmed, because it just doesn't happen that way. I mean, it's taken me years to get this way. It's going to take me a few years to undo some things, but it is a process. And I want everybody to understand that it really is a process, but it's a great process if you allow yourself to take the process on and make yourself aware. It can be actually exciting. It's really actually exciting to find out about myself. I got to tell you, and there's lots of parts I really like about myself. And I think that that's the other thing is, okay, we have mistakes and we have other things that happen. But you know what? There's some great things about myself too. So also acknowledge the good things about yourself, because there's lots of great things. So, but it is a process, and so it's an interesting conversation that we're having in Life's Cheerleader today, in you know, on this, but also in our challenges and our classes. It really is an interesting challenge, and I just love it. So I hope everybody's getting a little bit out of this, because I know we're coming closer to the end of our 30 minutes. But I want to make sure if there's anybody have any questions. Christine, see anybody here that has some additional questions on anything that we're talking about?
I've been doing a little side chat here. So, but one of the things one of our gals was talking about was being around positive people. Like that's been a key for her, that she knows she needs to be around more positive people. And I think that actually is a huge key for bringing awareness, because positive people will let you know when you're not in a good space. Like they will be able to see it a little bit clearer sometimes, and those are the kind of friends that we want to have, like those friends that lift us up, that help us see when we're self-medicating, you know, all those different kinds of things. So that, I thought that was a great tip for positive, for having healthy emotional hygiene. Be around positive people.
Absolutely, and just being supported by positive people. It's imperative, because we can get stuck on our own little world and have negative people, and then we don't even know that there's anything else out there. And there truly is, and there are so many positive people, and there's a lot of people. I mean, Life's Cheerleader, that's really what it's all about, is supporting people in a way, in a positive way, and to help them through these challenges, and through and growing and on their journey, whether it be learning to be more positive, or just learning to you know, mentally be different, or you know, if there's anything, because you know, Life's Cheerleader, at Life's Cheerleader, we're constantly trying to create a positive life, you might say. So, and that's so many different facets, and so that's what we do at Life's Cheerleader. And I know that on the people who are on the call, I know are getting a lot of support, and I would love if you guys, if anybody out there has friends, please make sure you let them know about Life's Cheerleader, because we do really care and love to support. I know that's what I love to do. I smile when I can support people, honestly.
Yeah, it is a real, it's been a real blessing in our lives for both Patricia and myself to be able to support other women in being positive, in becoming aware of who we are and all that we can be.
Absolutely. So, okay, so I think we're close. Oh, we're at 10:30, it looks like. So
I think so. There might be There might be one issue we didn't really address that I'm seeing in the chat
Okay.
about when we're working on awareness.
Mhm.
Sometimes the surface feelings are not the ones that really are deeper, and so we might need some help figuring out what the deeper issue is. And so I'm going to just say we'll bring that conversation back to the membership site. And I think we're putting some mental, some coaching exercises
Yes.
into the membership site. And so those, I think we have one that will help you, take it to a deeper level. Like, what is it that I'm really feeling? Because this is probably not the real issue. There's probably something deeper.
Correct. So yes, well, that's what we'll do then. So we want to help you, make you aware, and get to the deeper issues, whatever we can do to help and support. So
Okay.
awesome.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes, thank you everybody for being here, and we'll see you next month on our question and answer calls. And feel free to give us a holler or email us if you have any questions on Life Cheerleader.
See you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye, guys.